nation's Security Council under socialist dictator Nicolas Maduro, Isaiah Medina. Good to have you here, sir. Isaiah, forgive me, Isaiah. Does he go? And if so, how soon?
Dear Trish, listen, I just don't have enough words to thank you and Fox enough for giving the importance of this humanitarian catastrophe ongoing in my country. I thank you, Fox, and President Trump for your continued interest and support.
Well, you're welcome. I mean, look, I've made this point, and I'll make it again for the viewers at home watching that may say, well, wait, why should we care about Venezuela? And I think as much as we care about the people, you know, look, the reality is we're not entirely as altruistic, perhaps, as we like to believe. And the reality is this is an important region for us, not just because of what's going on there, and we don't like to see it, and we want freedom for the people, but because it's 3 hours from Miami. And you know what? If we're not there, the Russians are, the Chinese are, the Iranians are, Hezbollah is, and that is not good for us. We want a peaceful, good, strong relationship with a strong Venezuela where people have economic opportunity. And you, sir, you've seen what has happened under the Maduro regime. Walk us through it.
Listen, you could not be more correct in your assumptions. I have to tell you, he has transformed a beautiful, prosperous country into a Nazi concentration camp. He has used and weaponized starvation and medicine scarcity against the civilian population to remain in power. Newborn babies are dying every day, and 60 to 70% of their mothers right after them in the next 2 weeks. We have people dying from diabetes. Any chronic disease is a death sentence. But not only that, and you're totally right, it is not only a matter of a donation or a philanthropy act. He has also given room. At least 40% of our territory is already managed from terrorist organizations like FARC, ELN, and Hezbollah militias that are terrorizing the civilian population and are pillaging our natural resources to sponsor international terrorism. Imagine this, Trish. I just want to share this with you on how accurate and acute President Trump vision is. Imagine a massive 3.5 million forced displaced people, which has already happened, and now tie the idea of 10,000 illegally acquired Venezuelan passports that are known to be sold and issued. Imagine these people walking through the U.S.-American southern border. How many Hezbollah operatives are able to do that? So this
you bring
is very
up an important point. Listen, this is very real, and I brought the viewer into this story on Friday evening, and I did so because, well, I've covered Latin America for many years and spent some time in the tri-border region down in Paraguay, where Hezbollah was very active. And I can tell you, when I was there 13 years ago, first reporting on this, I was also getting intel that indicated Hezbollah had been making its way to Venezuela, and they were making their way to Venezuela. Why? Because it was a hospitable environment, and they had what in common? They had they didn't like America, and nor did Hugo Chavez. And now you look at Venezuela today, and I'll tell you, in a lawless society, criminal gangs operate. So whether it's FARC, whether it's Hezbollah, you name it, if you create that kind of environment, you're creating a hospitable, active environment for very bad players. You mentioned the passports. What can you tell me, sir, about the passports? Because there have certainly been reports and concerns about Venezuela effectively selling identifications, selling IDs, selling passports, selling birth certificates to Iranians, including Hezbollah fighters, because it would enable them to be able to move about the world more freely.
This is what is interesting, and I think you've put your finger right on the button here. The fertile ground for this transnational organized criminal organizations converging with international terrorism is a strong threat to the peace and to the maintenance of peace and security in the region, and absolutely it's a clear and present danger to the national security of the United States. They have been selling these passports, which of course the passports are legal. The only problem is that these people are not Venezuelans. And so it's very difficult for the intelligence community to now detect these people of persons of interest, most probably in the blacklist. At least 174 of them have been shown in the blacklist of terrorism around the world. So this is a very difficult situation. But then you have to add that also 22,000 Cuban agents have infiltrated our armed forces and political and intelligence different institutions.
No, you're basically being run, forgive me, there in Venezuela, you're basically being run by the Cubans. So let me ask you this, sir. You were at the UN Security Council. You know how things work. Why hasn't the UN Security Council come in and said, okay, enough, Mr. Maduro, take a hike?
Well, that's the second part of it. You have there the financial clout of China. You have the military footprint of Russia, and both of them have investment in Venezuela, which actually should be an opportunity to be talking right now in the Security Council to the other P3, mainly to the United States, to try to build a bridge with our interim constitutional president, Juan Guaido, to come to an agreement in their investments and to step away from what is happening. Then they have blocked so far different resolutions inside the Security Council. But if you look even above that, you see Turkey now and their blood, gold hunger, and then you see Iran behind many institutions and agreements and treaties with Venezuela, and they are also uranium hunger. And so you see all these very rogue states and bad actors in one place. Yeah. And I can tell you this, Trish, I come from a country of liberators, and we all want to make Venezuela great again. We want Venezuela grandiosa, and we are working towards that. And we need the help from our friends from the media like yourself. We need the friends from like President Trump, President Bolsonaro, President Duque, and so many other countries around the world that are supporting us. But we need to give them an ultimatum. We need a deadline and a plan B to act immediately.
Well, he's apparently looking at a plan B tonight because he knows that his days are numbered. Anyway, Mr. Medina, it's very good to talk to you. And that's interesting what you say about making Venezuela great again. There was a time back when it was pretty great, before socialism. Thank you.